Hi, my name is Hope Chambers, and this project we are making an optical tachometer using an Arduino Nano. So it's a pretty simple wiring diagram. I just bought a Arduino receiver off Amazon. It's this 3-pin receiver module. It comes with its own built-in LED, so if it detects an IR signal, the LED will turn on, which just really simplifies our circuit to just being a Arduino Nano. And we have the ground of the module plugged into ground, and then the power gets plugged into power, but there's a 10K resistor to help make it more binary on if it detects something or if it doesn't. And that is plugged into pin 2 because we're going to be using interrupts to create a way to count how many rotations our propeller has. And then on a separate circuit board, I just made a very simple circuit using a 9-volt battery, so we'd have a way to hold an IR LED. I highly recommend probably making something to hold the receiver and the IR LED, but I was a little bit limited there, so I'm just holding it by hand, which makes the data a little bit spotty, but if you can make something more solid, I definitely recommend that. And then in addition to this, I'm using a DC brush motor, and it's simply just plugged into its own power source. The code for the optical tachometer is pretty straightforward. Basically, you set up a interrupt, which will count how many times it sees the IR LED. And so we just initialize our interrupt for an event, and we do that on the falling edge of our clock. And then in our loop, all we do is every second disable our interrupt, calculate the rotations per minute for that second, and then reset our time threshold and our rotation per minute count. So what this does is we're taking the current time minus the time old. So every second this is going to be updating, and so it's going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's going to be 4 minus 3 times the RPM count, under 30 times 1,000. Which just because it's in milliseconds, so we had to correct it. And then we just turn back on our interrupt and we print that rotation per minute. So pretty straightforward code. There is an option, like you can set a status pin. You can use pin 12 for it, but I did not need to do that since I used a IR receiver module and I already had an LED built in. But for the Arduino Nano, the interrupt pin is pin 2, so the output of your IR receiver will need to be into pin 2 for this interrupt to work correctly.
So to simulate a propeller, I just took a wheel, put tape down the middle, and then cut out anything on the sides so it would be straight up and down looking. And then just attach that to a DC brushed motor, and it is connected to its own individual power source. And then the Arduino is connected to the computer, and the IR receiver is the only thing plugged into it. I do not have to do the LED because this receiver has its own LED built in, and that is just connected with the resistors and into the interrupt pin. And then the IR transmitter, our IR LED, you can see it's purple. I only had one, so it's kind of not as bright, so it's not as efficient as I'd like it to be, but I just built this simple battery with a resistor and an LED to hold over the top. So here's a demonstration.